Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, joined by my co-host, Mr. Michael Hall, who is in a very heated, hot room where his fan is going to be in the background whenever he speaks, so just giving you guys a heads up. The title of tonight's episode is A Familiar Face, and for good reason, and we should be joined by one of our very good friends, our game buddies that we like to meet up with, here very, very shortly. But the first order of business, the reason why this is called A Familiar Face is because of the jersey reveal this week. And it was obviously massive. Everyone and their mother was anticipating this moment. You know, people were cropping and photoshopping the darkened jersey reveal to try to find out what the jersey was going to be. Well, come to find out that the jersey is none other than what we see here, which I'm going to supply some pictures for you guys. This first one is Jayden Daniels flexing. And obviously this is the Super Bowl era alternate jerseys. What's up, Corey? Pleasure to see you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And we're gonna get your reaction after this. And then the next picture that we have here is going to be of Jayden Daniels, Zach Ertz, Jeremy Reeves, Bobby Wagner, and Frankie Louvu standing in front of their a lot, looks like everybody's closet there on the right side with how many jerseys that we all have. But it's a sick picture just kind of illustrating the entire uniform together. They brought the stripes back on the helmet. They also have the stripes on the sides now of the pants. I know my boy Freddie Ham is very excited to hear that. And we are all looking forward to what they can possibly be looking forward in the future, what it could possibly be. And then here is a zoomed-in picture of Jayden Daniels, Jeremy Reeves, and Zach Ertz standing in front of RFK, which I think is a very telling picture altogether. But first and foremost, I wanted to get your guys' reactions to the jersey reveal. Hall, I'll go to you first. What was your immediate reaction? Was it what you were expecting? Were you blindsided? And what did you think?
Yeah, I would say that it was pretty much somewhere between what I expected and not even really surprised. I would say I wouldn't even say that. I would just say it's what I expected, because I feel like if you just connected the dots, read the tea leaves of what Harris said at the end of last season at the press conference, and he said something about we're gonna go back to our old look, or like we did in our glory days and our winning days, something along those effects or something along those lines. And if you look back, there was a little Easter egg drop, like Jayden Daniels rocking the Doug Williams jersey during the season last year. So whenever they honored Doug Williams for the what was he, alumni? I forget why they honored him, but yeah, they honored him. And so I think that it was what I expected. I love him. I was gonna I'm not gonna get him right away, because I feel like everyone's gonna be so pressed that it's gonna be one of them things that's gonna take forever to ship out, and there's gonna be a waiting list. So I might wait a little bit to get him, but I'm definitely gonna cop me one. And definitely love him. And just like a lot of people have said, just take my money.
Absolutely, and they're very similar to the kind of jerseys that I have behind me, obviously in white, though, the difference there. Corey, what about you, brother? Was it what you were anticipating? And honestly, what did you think of them?
Perfect. That's the closest to perfection that you'll get. I think that it brought back the nostalgia with the modern look. I personally say that when we went away from white at home, it kind of I felt like something was taken away from me, because we're all three of us are all around the same age. And when North Turner was the head coach, they wore white. And then Marty Schottenheimer and Steve Spurrier and that group, they went to Burgundy. And then when Joe Gibbs came back, they went to white in burgundy pants at home again. I just think it looks right. It was the right decision. They could have went burgundy tops and white pants. If they weren't reading the room, but that just shows you what the ownership group is doing within within the spectrum of what they can do. Like people were talking about, well, bring back the logo, bring back the name and everything. I'm like, hey, if this is the best that they can do with trying to help it where some people can heal, I'll use that word. This is great. This
That's
is
the
the
right
close.
word.
Yeah, this is the closest thing to perfection. I mean, it looked good. It looks clean. It's us. It's just us. And I'm like Freddie. My God, I'm tired of looking at the homeless pants, looking like the Jacksonville Jaguars with nothing on them. I like the fact that
Yeah.
we've got stripes on the pants once again because it's just a, whoo, it looks a little rough, but I love it, man. It's perfect. It's simple, but it's us,
See,
and that's what I love about it.
the funny thing is, like, there's people in the fan base who would say, like, we've seen these jerseys before. What is the point about getting excited over them, right? But for people like us, who I'm 35, I was born in 90, didn't really get to see the Super Bowl era, right? I was 1 year old the last time that happened. But when you saw that reveal, you just got that warm feeling back, like, oh, it's back. And like, it's weird to explain, but when you saw it, you were like that familiarity, that comfort level was back. And you're like, I love that look. It's finally back. And the unfortunate part is, as much as I love the black jersey, something that I had found out recently was that the reason why the white jersey of the Commanders that was revealed a couple years ago by Jason Wright and company, the reason why they had the black in the sleeves was because if they were going to have a black uniform, they had to use the color somewhere else. And so they used it on the white jersey, which didn't make any sense, right? But when you now looking back at it, okay, like that does make sense. But like I said this in our group chat, it almost felt like the jerseys that they unveiled a couple years ago, it was almost done on purpose so that these jerseys could come back and have a big reveal. It's very weird just the way that it played out, but literally Josh Harris and company got the reaction that they were wanting. Like everyone was going crazy. I said it on Twitter. They're going to have a hard time keeping these in stock as much as we love the new look and like going back to the number of the lettering and everything, kind of going back to the old ways. As much as we are going to spend on that, it allows people to wear jerseys like the ones behind me. Whereas you don't feel ashamed for having to wear it because it's very similar to what they're going to be rocking, right? And I think that I want to discuss this because it's almost a foregone conclusion at this point, but I think Corey said it best. It was absolute perfection. They knocked it out of the park, bringing the stripes back on the helmet. Even with the W on the side, it looks so much similar, dude. And I know that everyone's going to say, but the Chief isn't there. I get it. I'm wholeheartedly with you. It shouldn't have been taken away in the first place. But that being said, the gold face mask, the stripes being brought back on the pants, it is exactly what we were all looking for. And we're acting like it's a brand new reveal, but like that's kind of how it feels like. I correlated it to the college football video game. Whereas like, yeah, you played a lot of it growing up and you loved it and you played it a lot and you kind of got used to it. But when it was taken away from you, you missed it dearly. And so, yes, when it comes back, you're going to be very excited about that notion that, oh my gosh, it's back. And that's the kind of feeling that everyone in Washington got. So there's going to be people poo-pooing, saying, well, this is something we've had before. Fact is, there was going to be an emergence of excitement over these uniforms coming back. Now, Corey, like, I think we can all kind of agree on this. Do you think that these alternates are going to become the mainstay uniforms in
Dear God,
2026?
I hope so. It makes no sense not to, because we got a preview of what it looks like and how clean it looks. I'll be honest with you. Can we just have that helmet all season long? Like I like just give me my stripes and like I'm a big stripe person. I didn't realize this, but can you imagine it? That helmet with that jersey right behind, with those jerseys right behind you, Kyle. Like I mean, when you go on to Dallas or something and you wear that burgundy, that's gonna look fire. And Yeah, man, I hope so. Do like the New York Jets did and brought back those New York sack exchange jerseys. It's gonna look hot, man. I'm looking forward to it. 2026, 2027, whenever it is, I'm good.
Yeah, I know that people were already saying on Twitter, make these the normal uniforms right now. Unfortunately, the politics in the situation does not allow you to do so. We would all love that to be the away uniform. But I think that a lot of people are saying this is taking away the black jersey for the foreseeable future, which I don't agree with. I still think this is taking away the white away jersey next year, if anything. And then we can talk about making alterations to the black jersey. I love the idea of the black camo. And like you were talking about, Corey, that helmet with the black jersey and actually incorporating burgundy into the black jersey. I think the people that really perfected like the dark red or burgundy type of aspect with the black jersey is Florida State with their specialty uniforms. They knocked it out of the park. And I think that helmet, the burgundy helmet, with the black jersey with burgundy and gold in it, it would fit really well with the camo. It looks so good. I definitely think this is going to be the mainstay uniform from here on out. Do I think that the name is coming back? Absolutely not. I think we're out of that realm. And as much as everyone like the Colonel has complained about the black helmet, I do think there are ways to change it. And honestly, even with the black jersey, you don't need the black helmet at this point. You can just rock the burgundy helmet with the stripes on it. It looks freaking fantastic. But we don't want it to look like what Dan Snyder did with the old school Indian head, like we saw in the one picture here. I'll pull it up here. With the look, it's over here in the corner. This one, the London Fletcher jersey here. Like we're not gonna have that where it's the regular Redskins helmet, where it's that lighter kind of red burgundy, and it doesn't match the uniform. Like we don't want that to happen, but there are ways in order to move things around and adjust. What about you, Hall? Do you think this is gonna be sticking around next year?
Yeah, whether like you said, whether it's next year or 2027, I definitely think that that's going to become our normal like white jerseys, not going to be alternate anymore. And if you just look at the track record of the Harris Group ever since they've taken over and really taken over, put their stamp on things, they've pretty much knocked everything out of the park when it comes to trying to reconnect with the fans and the team. It's just the team itself in general, from the front office down to the coaching staff, down to the players. So, and the business side of things, they've hired new people for the business side, and they look like they're knocking it out the park as well. So I just feel like they're just going to keep the train rolling, keep the momentum moving, and there's just one more thing to add to the list of great things that the Harris Group has done since they've taken over, and I expect more great things to come in the future.
Yeah, it's just so amazing how keeping it simple can have such a huge response, right? Now, this question I have for you guys, I wanted to talk about it a little bit. I saw Brandon kind of tweet about it on Twitter because he was talking about, like, what if Jayden Daniels everyone's talking about the year 2 slump, right, that he could possibly go through. But my question to you, Corey, is should we be expecting Jayden Daniels to get better?
I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. But to that question is what is better? Is him becoming a better passer? Is it him running less? Because I said this before. I said I think this team can be better than they were last year and win less games. Right? Like 10 games is less than 12. So I mean I think it's really what you define him getting better at. Is it from a stat perspective? Is it, is it not taking unnecessary sacks? I remember like the New Orleans game kind of stuck out to me, right? Where he was just taking he was trying to do too much with the ball and everything. So to me, I think that's him getting better. It's not necessarily from a stats perspective. It's him becoming a better quarterback overall, right? So yeah, I mean, we should expect him to get better in some categories, but I think when we think of sophomore slumps, technically you say C.J. Stroud went through a sophomore slump last year, right? Statistically wise, because they said they struggled, but they still won the division, even though it's a
Right.
crappy division. But I think you have to define what is your better, right? It's like RG3 said, What's your why? Know your why? Yeah, you got to know what your better is. And I mean, I think it's him just becoming a better quarterback, and some of the numbers might dip, but if we still win, I'm good, bro.
Yeah, that's exactly right, because that was my kind of viewpoint on it. And apparently, the saying RG3's name nowadays, especially in the past couple of days, is a touchy subject. But I think you're right in the sense that, well, efficiency,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, Jayden Daniels can get better, almost similar to what he did his senior year or his last year at LSU, where it was like 40 and 4, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. That efficiency can get better. But I think it's unfair to the young man based on the kind of year that he had his rookie year, where it was just astronomical. Of course, he could have a better year. I'm not taking out of the realm. But I don't think that should be expected. But what should be expected is the team itself get better, and you kind of alluded to that, Corey.
Mm-hmm.
The team, you shouldn't have to rely on Jayden to be your leading rusher. You shouldn't have to rely on Jayden to bail you out in these crazy big scenarios. Of course, as the quarterback, you want him to bail you out. That's the big reason, right? That's the big reason for the big name quarterback. But at the end of the day, we should be expecting for the team to step up, for that to create an extra cushion for Jayden Daniels to operate in overall. And that's my personal opinion. I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't think Jayden Daniels is capable of getting better. I think at this point the kid is sky's the limit for him. But at the end of the day, what can be achieved in overall? And I think that the margin for error is much less as for the team overall getting better than it is for Jayden Daniels, if that makes sense, Hall.
Yeah, you guys pretty much hit on the points that I was going to make. I would just say that again, I'm going to use the track record thing again. If you just go back to his track record at Arizona State, came in as an 18-year-old freshman, and since that day, he's just progressively gotten better and better and better as a quarterback through LSU, through his rookie year, even if you go back to the beginning of the year last year, he did not look like the same Jayden Daniels that looked like he did in the halfway through the mark of the season, towards the end of the season, and into the playoffs. So, like, I know people keep talking about the sophomore slump, and like you said, I was going to make a lot of the points you guys made, and a lot of that is more of just recency bias, if you want to call it that. It's like just because we haven't seen a quarterback that's been drafted that's had success as of late, going back to, I would say probably Lamar Jackson, if you want to say that, maybe Jalen Hurts, since he took his team to the Super Bowl the second year, technically, as a
Joe
starter.
Burrow.
Who?
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow, exactly. Yeah. So there is guys out there that are the success stories that have second year success and continue to grow, continue to get better and better, like the guys we all just named. It's just more of those don't stand out. People like to dwell on the negativity and the the negative side of the thing of the sophomore slump. So, and then if you really want to think about it, Jayden Daniels is already talked about in those names and those tiers of quarterbacks. As far as the Pat Mahomes didn't have a sophomore slump, like you said, Joe Burrow didn't have a sophomore slump. Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl his second year. Lamar Jackson, I think he was MVP the second year he was a starter, something like that, or something crazy. So he's already talked about in those names and those breaths and those eras of quarterbacks. So it like Corey said, could the stats be less? Could the passing yards go up, but the interceptions go up? Could the touchdowns go up? Sure. So if you want to I think something that we could see, tentatively see that he got better is if he's in the top 3 MVP category throughout the entire season or something like that, or he becomes MVP, obviously. So, like you said, I think the efficiency thing, and it's just one of them things where you'll know that he got better. It's like an eye test type of thing. You're not gonna be able to measure it by stats or this play or that play, how he executed this play or that play. It's gonna be more of an eye test of I saw what he did last year, and with my own eyes, I'm seeing that he looks better than he did last year, type of thing. So
Yeah.
that's what I would say.
Yeah, and also it's measured by team wins at the end of the
Right.
day. As long as
But
the
I would
team
also
is
say that even if they win 10 games, say they win a playoff game and lose in the second round, you could say oh, that was a failure, it was a sophomore slump. But was it really a sophomore slump if, like I said, the touchdowns go up, the efficiency's better, the running game is better,
with a tougher
the passing
schedule as
game is
well,
better?
coupled with that, right?
Right, exactly.
I'd like to look at it and see how many of these guys that had sophomore slumps, what changed for them, because we brought bring back the whole coaching staff. Cliff's coming back. Quarterbacks coaches are coming back and everything. So I in offense, so you got to add that in there too. Like, has there been a drastic change from year one to year two?
Yeah. And obviously, the Commanders adding Deebo Samuel, Laramie Tunsil, retaining most of the coaching staff, which goes on to my next question for you guys. Call the coach with the most pressure on them this season.
I would say I can go a couple ways with this, but I'll just take the easier path. I'll say Joe Witt Jr. just because there's been a lot of pressure on the defense. Obviously, Dan Quinn is a defensive guy. He handpicked Joe Witt as his guy coming over with him from Dallas. And you could say that obviously last year they were just kind of patchworking the defense together, kind of having to work with what they had. And they had average results. They weren't the worst defense in the league. They were in some categories, but the defense did enough to kind of help the offense out here and there and get off the field when they needed to. And I just feel like I don't even really care about like the fan base kind of like already kind of like chirping and chattering about it. But as we know, in this town, the fan base does have a loud voice, and the fan base, the voice makes it to the airwaves, and then the airwaves somehow make it up to Ashburn. Not saying that these people are like the past regimes where they listen to what the radio people are saying and what the fan base is saying, and they try to please them, like, what I'm saying, like give someone as a sacrifice to kind of please the fan base or the radio people, the media. But I would just say that as defensive guys, as a handpicked guy, come over with Dan Quinn, year two, you would expect some type of like improvement of the defense and whatnot, and more turnovers. That's what they've held their hat on going back to Dallas, and even when he was with the Packers with Charles Woodson back in the day as a DB coach. So I would just say that I think he still makes it to year three, even if the defense does what they did last year, or maybe is a little bit slightly worse. But I just think that if the defense isn't at least middle of the pack or isn't making splash plays or making turnovers, the rumbles will get a little bit louder and louder. And I feel like Joe Witt is one of those guys that will be get caught in the crossfire, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. You could make the argument for Cliff and being able to progress the overall offense, given that they added Laramie Tunsil, they brought in Josh Connerly in the draft, but also Deebo on the outside and being able to produce in a big way. But I ultimately think the guys with the most pressure on them is in the trenches. And I'll say it's Darryl Tapp, Ryan Kerrigan, the defensive tackle coaches, because the biggest issue last year was stopping the run. There's nobody out there that will say that it wasn't an issue, and it definitely was. And so those guys added with Javon Kinlaw, getting Johnny Newton back with a healthy fully in the offseason, having Deron Payne up front talking big about him. This has to be a big year for that defensive line, because if they're able to help and limit that rushing attack, it makes everything easier in the back end for the secondary members and overall in Joe Witt and company to make them look good. So I think Darryl Tapp and Ryan Kerrigan definitely have the most pressure on them. And I would also, I don't want to take this away from Corey, but I also think it's Bobby Johnson with the offensive line, adding with Josh Connerly and Laramie Tunsil. I think in the trenches is where the most pressure is. What about you, Corey?
Well, you stole mine, Kyle, so I'll throw one
sorry,
out.
Corey.
I'll throw it out. I'll throw Tommy Donatel and William Gay out there, just because, the secondary. I mean, you bring in old boy from New Orleans, and it was the fact that we leaned on, quote unquote, excuse. That's why I'm gonna call it. But we leaned on the fact that he was injured. He was injured a lot. Lattimore was injured a lot, and this is why he looked rough against Mike Evans, right? So I think it's big for them too in the secondary, because you're gonna go up against a lot of teams this year that got quarterbacks that can sling the rock. You're playing the AFC West. All three of those teams got quarterbacks that can sling the rock, and they've got pretty good receivers. So how's that secondary going to look? You still got A.J. Brown out there as well in Philadelphia. You got C.D. Lamb in Dallas. Malik, would you be my neighbors? So you got to play those guys. a combined 6 times. So this secondary's got to be just as well as that front line is too, and stopping the run. I think there were flaws on land and sea, land and air for us last year. So yeah, I'll go with the secondary. Just I think, especially with Lattimore, it's time to step up now. We can talk about Mikey and what negligee he'll wear, but as long as he's playing on the defense, as long as he's playing ball out there, hey, let's go with it.
Yeah, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson hopefully
Yeah.
doesn't listen to this and hear Malik Neighbors being brought up. He might pull out another hit on him, per his ex-girlfriend, or ex-wife. But let's get into some fan questions. We have some fantastic ones submitted. This first one was by James Bonato on Monday. It's a crying shame that Eric Bieniemy put too much on Sam Howell's plate as a rookie. At least in my opinion, he did. I think he's a quality NFL quarterback, or has the potential to be one. I think he could start for the Saints and maybe a few other teams. Do you all think he could be a starter for any other team? I'm guessing folks are starting to look at terrible stats, not taking into consideration the bad situation he was in, but lucky for Minnesota, where he is now. What do you think, Hall?
I think that he could be like a spot starter type of guy. Like we've seen that he's had stretches even when he was here as a rookie. We saw a couple stretches here and there where he played good quarterback. He was quarterbacking really well. He was good in the pocket. He was decisive. He was getting outside the pocket, making plays. Obviously, he's athletic. He was using his legs in the run game as well. So I think that he's one of those guys that in a perfect situation, almost like a Taylor Heineke type thing, in a perfect situation, a perfect storm, perfect everything, he can give you a couple, 3, 4, 5 games as a starter where he'll probably be a little bit better than he is worse if the situation is perfect. Now you add in a guy like Kevin O'Connell, who
Yep.
I've really been a fan of since he was here in Washington.
Yep.
Kind of like a quarterback guru. I think he's seen what he did with Sam Darnold, kind of built him back up and got him another chance in the league. So I think being with Kevin O'Connell, being in Minnesota, just being around just really smart-minded quarterbacks and offensive guys is going to help him out. Do I think he'll be a top 32 starter again in the league? Probably not. I think that ship has sailed, but he can have the Chase Daniels type of career where he's a backup in this league for
Yep.
10 to 12, 15 years and be a spot starter if needed and give you a couple games here and there. And I mean, shit, I'll take that, honestly. Like holding a clipboard for 10, 15 years, playing a couple games here and there, making millions of dollars. That sounds like the life to me.
Yeah, it's the best job in the NFL is the backup
You could
quarterback.
say it might be the best job in the world.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. With Sam Howell, he did not show out all that well in Seattle, and we can make excuses for what Seattle was providing, but that wide receiver core should have went to the benefit of Sam Howell. But that being said, Kevin O'Connell's quarterback room, he's almost developing a lot like the New England Patriots in the early 2010s, with like when they had Jimmy G, when they had Jacoby Brissett, where people are going to start taking away from that, like we saw with Seattle, or the Sam Darnold type of effect, right? And we're starting to see that with Kevin O'Connell. So obviously this is going to be a building year for Sam Howell to learn and to grow as a quarterback, and maybe someone down the line does pluck away from it. So I don't think it's right now. I would say no, that he wouldn't be able to start for other teams. Maybe the Saints you could make the argument for, but I think we're looking more so not this season but next season as to where he could be stepping in, right? With Sam Howell, much respect to him and what the kind of situation he was put into here, but the reason why he was put in that situation is for us to get Jayden Daniels. And so I think that he's just going to grow as a quarterback, and maybe down the line he could be fitting himself into some place like Arizona as a backup to be that kind of shorter aspect. You don't have to change the offense very much, so to speak. He does have some legs on him, but it seems like I am with Hall that it's going to be the backup quarterback slinger coming in to do something.
All he has to do, my bad, Corey, all he has to do is make a good impression on one or two coaches that are guys that are going to be moving around throughout the league and looking to build quarterback rooms. They're looking to add guys that are smart guys for the team, good team guys, good locker room guys. All you got to do is make an impression on one or two, three coaches, and then you'll be dragged along from team to team with them throughout the league as long as they're in the league. So he can definitely make a name for himself as a backup.
Absolutely. Corey, do you have anything to add on that? Can we go to the next?
Why are we talking about Sam
I
Howell?
know, I know,
Why
I
are we
know.
talking about Sam?
But before we move on with other fan submissions, if you guys want to answer any of these in the comments, would love to hear from you. Reach out. Would love to hear your comments on the matter. But Corey, this next question was from Wales Commanders Alid, who is going to this Spain game. It's unfortunate. Andy gave me his ticket for Week 1 versus the Giants, and then asked if I wanted to go to the Spain game. And it's about like $300 to go. And I asked the wifey over here, and it's no go. So it sucks. I would wish I could go because of how many people really submitted to go to it. But his question is, Corey, it feels like the Commanders are starting to embrace their roots more. Do you think that this is the start of a real connection between the past and future of the franchise?
Absolutely. I'll say it again. The Harris Group and their love of just going for layups is deafening compared to last time. They got alumni there. They're honoring alumni. The alums actually want to be there. Like people like Daryl Green didn't really come to anything in the previous years. First thing they do in the second year, say, we're gonna retire your number, Daryl Green, because you played 20 years here. You were outstanding citizen, a good man, a great player. You've been retired how long? And we got this right? Like, yeah, they are embracing their roots. They're going back to it. I mean, you hear it like Brian Mitchell isn't as aggressive against the when
Right.
they lose now. He's on the post game show with the team. So you see stuff like that. They feel like when people feel like they're being heard, they're gonna be happy even through the tough times. And even with that, it makes the tough times don't look so bad. You know, I think about like last year when we went on that 3-game losing skid, right? The whole ship could have burned down at that point. But people were saying benefit of doubt, let's go, let's go. Yeah, they're embracing their roots, man. I love it because we saw with the with the jersey update too. That's embracing the roots as best as you can without bringing back the name. That's the best you can do, and it's close to perfection. They're doing the right thing, man. It's a layup. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, and obviously they are embracing their roots as something that Josh Harris and company have been vocalizing. You brought it up great about bringing back Daryl Green, who is very adamant about not having any connection, or even Riggins himself of kind of
Mm-hmm.
feeling that way. But the one slippery slope about this is, Alid, is some people are never going to be satisfied until it goes back to the original name. And I had this talk with people at church on Wednesday night at practice and saying the name isn't coming back. I'm sorry, but it's just not. The logo could. That could be something down the line that they have to navigate through. There's nothing wrong with giving honor or showcasing Native Americans. I think we can all agree on that. It's much more so the name, which was the issue with corporate sponsors and the NFL. So it is kind of a slippery slope because you're still going to have those bots out there complaining about the name and everything like that. But you have to, it's a good way of bridging the gap that was developed over the past 4 years with a certain sector of the fan base that was saying, this isn't what I grew up with. And this kind of uniform change is obviously a way to kind of bridge that gap and bring those guys back. Now, the next question that we have was submitted by Tony Franchise Hall. I'll go to you with this one. This is from Tony Franchise. Thank you, Tony, and thank you, Alid. Tony asks, if the RFK deal falls through due to political BS, what other location should the new stadium go?
I know me and Kyle, he was the first one that was like it should go out by like a national harbor and all that, but I just don't see how it would like shake out with all the like marshlands, whatever else is out there. But I mean, obviously the next choice would some would say unfortunately, some would say uh, yay to that, but it would obviously be the Landover 2.0 spot where they would just tear down the or knock down the old stadium and then build a new one somewhere a couple yards, miles, whatever it is, feet from the old one. And I mean, obviously they would try to build up a town center around it like they want to do with RFK and do all that type of stuff. But I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. like selfishly, just for like I live in Maryland and it's like easier to get to Landover from Montgomery County where I live, as opposed to like driving down to like DC or something like that. But I want it in DC, so. But I just feel like at the end of the day, they've already kind of showed their hand, and it's literally like RFK or bust. So like, there is no like, in my opinion, other site. They're just going to do whatever it takes, grease the wheels, do what they got to do to get now their target date of 2030. That might be in jeopardy as far as like what they want to do, but to me, they've already showed their hand and they've shown that it's RFK or bust, RFK or nothing. So they're going to do whatever it takes to get it RFK. The timeline's the only thing that might not work in their favor at this point to me.
Yeah. Is there any other location to do that? Well, before I get into that, it was funny to see the DC City Council say that they had to get shared revenue in order to get it done. Which I'm gonna be honest with you guys, the Colonel gifted me with the book "Killing the Mob," and that's literally what the mob would do. If you wanted to make a Hollywood movie, you had to get the mobs embracing. That you had to get them to put money in on it so they could get the revenue from it. If you wanted to open a casino, same exact thing. You want to open up a club, a bar, they had to be attached to it and getting that shared revenue. It is funny to hear them say that and to come out with it because it is, honestly, it's insane. I thought that's why we got taxes, right? Like, do we really think that the government is going to deal with revenue in a responsible way at this point? It's laughable to even hint that that could be a success. But what place could it be besides RFK? I'll say this: Capitol Hill, right on the National Mall. Demolish Capitol Hill and put RFK right there, because honestly, they don't do anything of substance anyway. And so that viewpoint, that with the monument over there, over the National Mall, RFK right there, that's the perfect place for everybody involved, right? And so I think what other place could there be is Capitol Hill, because it's not like those guys do their jobs anyway. What about you, Corey?
Yeah, I don't care where it go. They build it, I'll go. I think that Landover, if they can't get it done in DC, Landover right there, just build it. Because they own some of that. Don't they own some of that vacant land over there too? I mean, that's the path of least resistance. I'd have seen this before with the Capitals and the Wizards, right? They were celebrating. They were like, yeah, we're going to build this. And then a week later, they were like, we're not going to do this anymore. This is dead on arrival. But it don't matter. Just give them somewhere that they can play where Dookie Water's not falling on people. And, that it doesn't look like it was. Yeah. It's like, I mean,
it wasn't sewage water. I just hate that notion that it was. They don't run sewage pipes on the outside of structures.
I know. You're the construction manager, but people will say anything just to be upset,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
That's but
what happens is that's drainage from overflow, from rain, whatever have you. And what happens is leaves get stuck in there and then it builds up. And if you've ever had old water open up and it smells like dookie. And that's exactly what happened. But people are going to scream, like, why on earth would you run sewage on the outside of a structure? You're running the issue of hitting it with something, it bursting. Like, that's the one, like, literally it's illegal for sanitation purposes on it possibly falling on people. I hated that notion when that brought out Corey. I argued with like legit good people out there, and I was like, you have no idea what you're talking about. And that being said, but sorry, Corey, you have anything else to add?
Oh no! I look at this. I had to jab you a little bit because I knew that was going to get there. I like
one of those pet peeves. Now the next question is from the Colonel, Corey. Former All-Pro Redskins guard Brandon Sheriff is available in free agency after a stint with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Is there good reason we would pick him up besides nostalgic purposes to temporarily fill in for Cosme? Wouldn't he have to learn an entirely new scheme differing from both Jacksonville and his years in D.C.?
I mean, didn't he have to learn a different system from Washington to Jacksonville? I mean, that's about being a professional. I mean, the price is right. Yeah, bring him back. I mean, the guy was an all-pro guard. He got healthy being out there in Florida. I don't think he missed the game and missed the start in those 3 years in Jacksonville. So he's proven that he's healthy. You have a new veteran presence there. Maybe that it's a new day in Washington. he might actually like it, and maybe we can bring ping pong back, and it'll be all good and everything. So, I mean, if there's a need for it, yeah. But then you also got this young talent there, with Coleman, with Connerly. You only got two tackle spots, right? So if you want those guys to develop, maybe I mean you're gonna turn them into, you could turn Coleman or Collar into that guard and get them play left guard for a little bit. I don't know, but yeah, I mean if the price is right, yeah, bring them back. Say we love you, we missed you, and if you want some work, but it's also very telling. Nobody's picked them up yet. Just saying.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I know that one of the reasons, Colonel, why he left originally, even though Redskins offered him a hefty contract, was specifically because of the media in the area. He absolutely hated it, needed to get away, and also he wanted to go to a no income tax state. Good for him. I'm glad that he did. Maybe he's waiting for something to open up for him down south in one of those states for him. But in my personal opinion, Allegretti, in my personal opinion, guys like Herbig deserve that shot. They've been here the entire offseason. Now, if you're picking up Sheriff for vet minimum and you're telling him you're at the bottom of the roster and earn it, that's a different story. I don't think that he should just be automatically added to be a Sam Cosmi replacement until he comes back, and then you're kind of running into the issue. But I'll never poo-poo getting better in the trenches, and that should always be a point of emphasis for everybody involved. It's just I don't know if Sheriff would be open to it, so to speak. But, I mean, if he's wanting to be a depth guy and coming in and helping this team contribute to win football games, I'm not going to shy away from it. I just think that there's other guys been working very hard that deserve those spots as well.
Yeah, I think it'd just be like a nostalgia play. I would only do it if there's some type of, like in-house that or behind the scenes, there's some type of setback with Sam Cosmi, or he's not going to be as ready as you thought he would, or be up to the level of, which we all know that it's going to take a while to get back to the Sam Cosmi level of play that we all know and love. But if he's not if he's not able to get back to like 80% or whatever it is, like your first year off of ACL, and you know that behind the scenes, and we know how this staff is as far as like taking care of guys and not rushing guys back and giving them the full amount of rest that they need to come back and be the player that they need on the field, then I would like maybe give him a call. But outside of that, like you said, Kyle, Sam Cosmi comes back and say Brandon Sheriff's playing like almost at a all-pro level again, then what do? You run into the fact of, well, Sam Cosmi's our guy. We gave him the extension. He's been our guy on the line for a couple years now. Sorry, Brandon, we got to replace him because that's his spot. And then what do you do with the left guard? You move Brandon Coleman out, who's a young guy. You moved him inside to be developed as a left guard of the future going forward. You want to move him out the tackle? No, because you know what I'm saying? Like we saw what Sheriff was not a tackle. So yeah, I would just be like a nostalgia to me.
Now, the next question from the Colonel, let's do rapid fire with this. Has the balance shifted away, Hall, from ex-Washington players talking trash and hating on us forevermore? Case in point, I honestly don't see John Allen trash-talking the organization. However, I do see Dante Fowler salivating at the chance to sack Jayden Daniels. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a new day and age. If you remember back in the day when guys would leave here and whatever on whatever terms it may be, there would always be that little slip out of the report to the media for just a report that didn't need to be out there of just pretty much bashing the player, bashing some type of negative report about the player was put out to the media, whether it be national or local.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't even make the player look bad. It just makes you look bad because everyone knew what kind of organization this was back then. So, yeah, I think those days definitely passed. I mean, from day one when Harris and them actually took over, put their print on things, every player, coach, employee that works inside and the sales and whatever it may be has said that it's night and day from what it used to be. These are actually people that care about you, care about the place, care about the team. And so I just think that those days are definitely over. And, yeah, it's definitely a new day, and it's a great thing. So to the Dante Fowler part, I would say obviously that's a competitor. You wouldn't get to the NFL if you didn't have like chips on your shoulder and want to actually like get revenge on the team that like just let you go or didn't re-sign you, especially after having a 10.5 sack year. So I definitely could see that. But again, that's just a competitive NFL player, like at any level of football or sport. That's just competitiveness.
Yeah, I would also put the caveat in there. John Allen grew up in the area, loved the team before he played for them. Obviously, did a lot for this organization, and him leaving, I think he's probably a different cat than others. Dante Fowler definitely felt slighted by us, but I wish him the best of luck. He's going to have to go against Laramie Tunsil and Josh Connerly, most likely. And so it's going to be a tough task for him. I hope he gets the playing time in order to achieve what he's asking for. But it doesn't surprise me. I'm glad that it's because there was a want and a care there, and obviously Dante Fowler wanted to be retained, and that's kind of the reason why he's saying that, which is a good thing for the organization moving forward. Rather than them being happy to move away and to be moved on to another team and talking crap about the facilities and other things like that and how the culture is, it's not really doing that. It's much more so he's kind of pissed off that he wasn't retained and it was considered disrespectful in his eyes. Now, Corey, the next question was from Command D's Nuts. I think that was a perfect one for you, sir, my boy. He says,
Pause.
let's say you and your family suddenly had to move. You absolutely had to sell your home within the next month, and the only person available to sell your home is a player or member of our staff or front office on our squad. What player, staff member, front office member on our beloved squad has the necessary sales skills to make the sale happen, and why?
Ooh, wow. That's a daggone good question. Um, Man, I wish John Bostic was still on there because he could sell
Yeah.
ice water in hell and still be terrible about it. Couldn't sell it. Um, Crap, Kyle, that's a good question. Um, I would say off the top of my head, I'm going to throw. Gotta be Dan. Gotta be DQ, right? It gotta be him. Energy. Now, I mean, he might have some uncensored moment. He'd be like, "Yeah, this. You see this? This is the effing best rumpus room you ever gonna get. You can put your effing TV up there, just let it rip off
This
the rain.
this is a BMF right here.
Yeah. That's right. It was like, hey, oh no, hold on, wait a minute. Hold on, wait a minute. There you go. Yeah, we're good. There you go. Yeah. So, yeah, we got right there. Who doesn't effing love to cook, man? He's like bad, like it's gonna your wife's gonna make a bad sandwich up in there for you. Super Bowl party right there, man. Let's go. Let's let it rip. Yeah, DQ, man. DQ's gotta sell it for me.
Of course, the easy answer here is Terry McLaurin. Just that because I love Terry McLaurin to death. And to be honest with you, Mike, I think that it's Bobby Wagner, in the sense that Bobby Wagner is a very stand-up individual, obviously physically intimidating for the common man. But like we saw in that Tampa Bay playoff game, when you need something big in a quick fashion, he's going to come up with that football for you. So I'd go with Bobby Wagner at being able to do something that is very, very hard to do, but does what is necessary to get the job done. So do you have anybody real quick, Hall, before we move to the next?
I'll say Adam Peters, just because if you remember when he first got signed here, he was walking through the snow, he had his suit on. He kind of looked like a real estate agent. Like he's kind of like, hey, like this is my private jet. Like it's for sale if you want to come buy it. Like holler at me. I got 3 phones on me. One working the real estate over here, one working the general manager spot. So, and he's like, I mean, let's be honest. I'm gonna take a playbook from Reed. He's a good-looking guy. Look at that smile. Like who wouldn't want to buy something from that guy?
Right, you're absolutely right. Now, going to the Discord real quick, boys. This one was from Arch Deluxe. Assemble an 8-man flag football team from the current roster. Maybe 11 total. You need some subs. So you don't have to list all 8, Corey, but give me... So there's 11. So let's do 4 each.
Gotta be JD, right?
Yes.
Gotta be
Without
JD.
a doubt, the dual threat in flag
Yeah.
football is very coveted and needed.
Gotta put. I feel like Mikey because he had the offensive prowess.
Absolutely.
So Cameron still. Um. Oh crap! Baskets. Who else? Got to be Terry, right? Because you need that reliable receiver. And then I would go with. Heck, I gotta go with, just as a wild card, man. We gotta put Marcus on there somewhere, don't we? Like Mariota. I mean, you could put him in. He could be a running back if you need a quarterback. You can run a little bit. You can run some unusual looks. I mean, yeah. Is that 4 right there? That is 4, right?
That's 4.
Yeah, that's 4. There you go.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're here instead of Reed because he would have selected Sam Hartman instead of Mariota. Um, you're absolutely right about the dual threat ability of Mikey Sammerstill and Jayden Daniels. That's absolutely what you need in flag football. The 4 I would pick is Frankie Louvu. Without a doubt, in my personal opinion, I think Frankie Louvu is obviously necessary. You also want shiftiness. You want the ability to go left and right. And I think that a guy like Jalen Lane would be pivotal in that kind of regard because it's not much more so about tackling. If it was about tackling, I think Deebo Samuel is obviously the guy that you want. But with Deebo, it's not as much about the shifting, it's running through tackles. But I need the shiftiness. I need the ability to get away from flags and create some yak. And so I think Jalen Lane is an easy one to fit in there. For linebackers, I already said Frankie Louvu, right? I said Jalen Lane. Frankie, you need him to be able to blitz after the quarterback, his speed, being able to get sideline to sideline. I'd also make an argument for Kane Medrano. I think Kane Medrano is massively important. And I would make the argument that John Bates should be your center. When we played flag football, the offensive lineman blocked, but they could also go out for passes on every play. So I would put John Bates at center, giving his blocking pedigree, but also his ability to get yak after the catch. Just be those reliable set of hands, and I would put him up there. The last one that I'll say is Revo. I'll always take Hart any day of the week. What about you, Hall?
Yeah, like you said, like the lineman aspect of it can get out in the passing game if need be. So that's why I'm gonna go with Josh Connerly. He's a really athletic
There you
tackle.
go.
First of all, you need blockers up front. You need somebody to block for JD, get active in the quarterback position. But Connerly, really athletic kid, can get out in the passing game, slip game, catch a touchdown if you need him to. I would say Trey Amos, just because you need long, lengthy corners that can play man coverage, get sticky on receivers, because in
You
flag
know
football,
that from experience.
yes sir,
I'll
you can
never
run
forget
back.
you in flag football going against the Megatron guy. This
Yeah.
freak of nature dude threw a bomb to this guy threw a bomb to him in the end zone. And Hall was guarding him, and I'll never forget when Hall looked up as he was in trail in the end zone, and the guy was already in the air, and Hall just didn't even try for it. He was like, "All right." And the guy
Did you
just
Hey,
kept
how's it
going.
going?
redoubt it? Did you
Nothing I
get
can do.
redoubted like on Andre Johnson
Yes.
that time? That's what happened to you.
Oh, dog, I didn't
It
even
was
let myself do
hilarious.
that because I looked up and I was like, "There's no way I'm doing that. Like, there's no shot of me getting that." So I
Don't
didn't even
post
try to
it.
jump and I was like, "You got it, bro. Like, go ahead."
And I
But
think
nah,
I forgot to say I think Deron Payne needs to be in here.
Yeah,
yeah,
he caught a
I was gonna
touchdown
say,
in the championship game or something, didn't he? One time, at
yeah, Trey
Alabama.
Amos. What is that? Two Connolly Amos. Yeah, you need lengthy, long corners that can be sticky in man coverage. Like you said, Deron Payne, because you need rushers to get after the opposing quarterback, and you need like kind of quick, like agility type guys up front to kind of make that first move, get the quarterback quick. And the fourth one,
Johnny Newton.
I will say, who hasn't been mentioned yet?
Johnny Newton. Or Laramie Tunsil.
Eh, I'd say Zach Ertz, just because he at this age and he can still route you up. If the defense want to go zone on you, we know he can rip a zone apart, and he just got that connection with Jayden Daniels, so they're gonna run the score up on you.
There you go. And one question that was submitted by Deluxe. This one they said, I saw your suggestion to Revo about taping the face mask, which I did on Twitter. I said, let me make a suggestion for you because I saw his pictures. I was like, tape up the face mask, But what he is saying right now is Sean was interviewed later in his career and said he started taping his fingers instead of his face mask due to his focus shifting to take the ball away. A mentality change. The target was now on the hands instead of the helmet. Who would be the best player on the team now to tape up their fingers? And they got to have ball hawk skills. I would put in there that Mikey most likely is the guy that you would want to go down that route, talking about the ball hawking. But I think the mentality aspect, I think Revo fits the bill. As much as anyone wants to argue with me, Revo on special teams was a firecracker. He was the enforcer coming down and making some huge hits. And Dan Quinn alluded to it in his press conferences a lot last year. That special teams unit was setting the tone a lot for this football team and how they need to get down and be ferocious. And so I think that Revo is another guy that could do it. But ultimately, Frankie Louvu. That's the dude that kind of fits the mold, the mentality of Sean taping his fingers. and he has the kind of not. I'm not going to say the A word that everyone keeps saying is very weird that they keep saying this about grown men, but he has the stature of something of that
What are you talking
sort.
about, aura?
Yes.
The
Grown men, dude. Grown men saying this. The next question, Corey, real quick. Which game by Jeff Miles? Which game are you most interested in watching this season and why?
The game I'm most interested in watching is probably when gotta be when Denver comes, right? I think you're gonna put Obo Nix up against Jayden Daniels because they were the two best rookie quarterbacks last year. I don't care what what y'all think about Care Bear Williams. I think they were the two best
Fucking
last
sugar.
year. Wasn't even close. Um,
Sugar booty.
and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that in prime time with them throwback jerseys. Come on, y'all, Denver, y'all got to wear the D on the helmet, the old school ones, and in the Super Bowl too.
Creamsicles.
Yeah, them cream simple ones.
Wanted to make a joke so bad.
Sickles. Yeah, I know. I
You
realized what I
threw it
said
up.
too.
You threw it up for me, but
Yeah,
I'm not
I
going to
did.
do
I
it.
said,
I'm not going to do it, Corey. The next question that was submitted was from Big Tony Shivers. Aside from Jayden, what second-year player are you most looking forward to watching? This is an easy one for me. I do think it's Johnny Newton. And seeing with the full offseason being healthy, with the departure of John Allen, being able to get more snaps. Obviously, they added in Javon Kinlaw and Eddie Goldman. But I think this is a very good opportunity for Johnny Newton. And what I saw in his college tape, him being a disruptor, giving him the nickname of John McCain, I think I'm very excited to see him blossom into a very, very capable pass rusher and run stuffer at this level. And so if I'm going to say anybody, I would say it's going to be Johnny Newton. Now, the next question that we have, this is from Tim Towner. Do you believe any player should have a fully guaranteed contract? As an example, I give you Deshaun Watson, let alone a second-round pick who has never been on an NFL field for one snap. Or should every contract be fully guaranteed?
No, I don't think every contract should be fully guaranteed, but I think that depending on the position and at what age they are in their career, we're going to see a lot more 1 year, 2 year type deals where guys are getting that fully guaranteed money. Probably like 2 year deals. Well, it'll play as 3 year deals, but the third year will be like an option type of thing, and they're going to get the first 2 years guaranteed, and then the team even probably no more guaranteed money in the third year. Probably let go of the player. So I can see them NFL maybe going or someone trying to go that route of because we've seen that like the new wave has been 3 year deals, 3 year deals, 3 year deals. So you can get another bite at the apple quicker and sooner. So maybe it gets reduced to like 2 year deals so that you can get the fully guaranteed money and then try to get another bite at the apple a little bit quicker.
Yep, I agree with you there. Tim Towner asked, Kyle, can I borrow your John Deere? No, specifically because you spelled John Deere incorrectly. So you got to be able to put some respect on their name to be able to get my mower. And it is a 42-inch deck. We had a 54-inch deck, and honestly, it really isn't that much of a difference. I don't lose any time on mowing in that sort of regard. But that's going to wrap us up for this episode, boys. Thank you for everyone tuning in and all the questions that were submitted. There were a lot of you, and I can't thank you enough for doing so, taking some time out for us. Any last-minute comments, Corey?
You just talking about 52 and 42 inches, Kyle. That just Lord have mercy, brother. I thought, man, I didn't know where I was at on that one, but okay.
Yeah, well, it's just the size of the blades and
Yeah,
how many that you got.
yeah, that's what
It's the
Reed would
size
say,
that
wouldn't he?
matters.
That's what Reed would say.
Absolutely. Yeah, and of course, the uniform reveal, as much as the players don't really care that much about it, it was awesome to see. The Commanders just tweeted out Jeremy Reeves and his iconic photo, and he definitely fits the bill for somebody that... Look, I'm not saying that he should have his face mask taped for the game, but at least coming out in that tape on the face mask would be absolutely huge to get everyone fired up, you know. And as much as everyone... I love how everyone was crapping on saying it's so clowny to ask a special teamer to put tape on his face mask and everything like that, but they're like, but I love Jeremy Reeves though. Like, yeah, good way to edge yourself out of that one, pal. But regardless, it'd be awesome to see. If you've made it this far, you're a freaking champion. Hall, do you have anything to add, sir?
No. Training camp rookies report this upcoming Friday. So we have made it. Training camp is right around the corner. We've made it through the dead period. Let's celebrate.
Let's absolutely celebrate. And Reed is on his way back from the beach right now driving. That's why he's not here and why he wasn't here last week. I was kind of crapping on him last week. I shouldn't have. He deserves his vacation as much as it seems like every day is a vacation for him. All right, everybody. We will see you again next week. Possibly on a weekday. I have a guest possibly lined up. But then also next Sunday. Keep an eye out for us. You made it this far. You're a freaking champion. I can't thank you guys enough. I'm Kyle.
I'm Hall.
I'm Corey.
And we'll see you guys again next week. Washington football. Woo! What's up, everyone? This is Kyle from the Burgundy Zone. We are releasing our own merch to support the show. If you want to rock the Burgundy Zone logo or you want to see Reed's face on your shirt, we got it. We're starting with t-shirts, hoodies, and zip-up. So if you're a fan of the show, make sure you snag one before they are gone. Check out the link in our bio on Instagram, or you can find the link in the description of the video. Thanks again for all your support. Until next time.